WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am Thabiti Mpinda.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback,
A positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
And take us along with you. Feedback.
At the studios of WHPR, WHPS, red and yellow, beautiful flowers. So April showers did their thing.
All right. And I'd like to say happy Monday to Rosa, to Vera, to Miss Farmer. We got to tell her happy Monday. And to Harry and Al and Carl, Katrina and Mark and I don't know, we haven't heard from Michael Griggs in a while. Wonder what's going on with him. And David, we had a new caller that had joined us. Some folks you want to say hey to?
Well, I'd like to first and foremost shout outs to Brother R.J. Watkins for providing this platform, to Brother Henry Tyler, HT, for being an engineer extraordinaire, for Brother Tim, who holds it down for us, for Brother Flip, who comes on later on in the engineering seat, Sisters Renee, Faith, and Michelle Cunningham. So I want to give them shout outs and all the staff at WHPR, and then some of our regular people. Just want to say shout out to Sister Jackie, Sister Ruth, Sister Cheryl D., Brother Shane, Sheila Ragland, and I always ask you two things. First, I hold up my pen and paper because I take notes also. You have things to say, and I want to remember them. And I would ask you to ask your family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, church members, people that you have casual relationships with to tune in and write down the numbers at the bottom of the screen.
Absolutely. And I have to add Tijuana and Tawana, Bill and Don also in that. And I want to let you know that Hood Research is having a luncheon this Saturday, and you're invited. If you have a need for transportation, I need you to call 313-971-7225 and make that known that you need transportation. The luncheon is this Saturday. We will be gathering at 2, and the luncheon starts at 3 o'clock. And we just want you to know that it's on West 7 Mile in Evergreen at the dedicated senior center, a location where you can feel safe and enjoy yourself. And also, for those of you who know and have known Fast Freddy over the years, can be a just reunion for you and Fast Freddy. But that's this coming Saturday. That is May the 9th.
And phone number again?
I'm sorry, that's not May the 9th. That's the wrong day. Saturday is May the 7th. The 7th of May, this coming Saturday. We'll be gathering at 2 p.m. If you need a ride, also known as transportation, the telephone number to call is 313-971-7225. 971-7225. This coming Saturday, we're going to have a luncheon, learn about the dedicated senior center. You can also at any time Google Hood Research. We have a website. We have a Facebook page for those of you who enjoy being on Facebook. And we also have Twitter. And we encourage you to follow us on Twitter. The telephone number for Hood Research is area code 248-234-2371. Again, that's area code 248-234-2371.
And I'd be remiss, one more shout out. I have on my Obama Day shirt, which is a product of a plan that Brother James Ford put together so that we acknowledge our 44th president and all of the attributes, characteristics, and his nature as a statesman. It's truly a statesman. And there's few of them that we can call nowadays statesmen. Some of them are just people with a job.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. You know, there's so much to share with our community and in our community, and the thoughts that people have not talked about, maybe thoughts they haven't even thought about. But I have one that I'm going to share with you. But first, for those who want to email Hood Research, the email is contact@hoodresearch.org. Again, that's CONTACT, little absent, the A with the circle around it, at, then HOODRESEARCH.org. That's contact@hoodresearch.org. Cha-cha-cha. Well, the cha-cha-cha is not a part of the email, but just so that you will have it and you want to email us, that's the email. You know, Hood Research does 3 shifts. 3 shifts. We do 8 days right here at WHPS, WHBR, from 9 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. We do afternoons every Saturday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. And this Saturday, we'll be broadcasting on the phone right from the dedicated senior center. We'll gather about 2, and we'll have lunch, and we go from 3 until 6 p.m. on the phone. Anybody who wants to can join that particular, I should call it a phone cast. How's that sound? Phone cast?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Telecast, phone cast. And then on Sunday night, if you're a night owl or you want to be, join me on 910 a.m. Superstation. That's 910 a.m. radio from 11 p.m. for 2 hours. And last night I had a gentleman who was here with me on from Zambia, Africa. And we talked about the present-day Zambia, Africa, not being much different from the United States of America. You know how they want to make us think that Tarzan is still flying through the jungle in his underwear, and that's just not the case. It's modern. They even have a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Zambia, Africa. Imagine that. Kentucky Fried Chicken in Africa. Anyway, their largest, I guess you would say, industry is copper. They have some minor things like gold and diamonds. I'm like, oh my. But their major, product is copper.
Yeah, they're actually the 5th largest copper producing nation on the planet. And we could only hope that whoever owns those systems are compensating the workers, because we know even here that when you have capitalism as a motivation to make money, you don't care about the workers, so unions are deplored somewhat as well.
Yes.
But yeah, we need to know, and as Theo said, the Africa's much more modern than we would even imagine. But if we don't seek out that information, nobody's going to provide it for us. And I don't expect them to. You know, the Arabs are not going to show anything that uplifts us. Western Europe's not going to do that. We can't expect Australia. We have to represent for ourselves. So I hope that you all start to investigate a little bit more, because the brainwashing continues.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And you know, there are a few businesses opening up in the city of Detroit that are black-owned. And that's a good thing. I was hearing that yesterday, too. So I'm looking forward to us being able to share information on, you know, some of those. And from time to time, we have owners right here with us that talk about their products.
Yes, last Sunday, I believe it was, I was taking a ride, and we went through the Avenue of Fashion, and I had brought some people there, and they were like, wow, I didn't realize. I said, yeah, they've done a lot of building up. They got rid of that island in the middle, which was a waste of taxpayer money to begin with.
Yes, absolutely. And it killed off some of the businesses because it was easy to go across the street to one place, across the street, you know, and back or shop on the west side of the street and want to stop in for a sandwich or something, so you walk across to the restaurant. And there was a little store that I used to go to called the Little Red Schoolhouse, and they sold teachers' aids and flashcards and all, just things that you could use to encourage your children, you know, to learn. When the crazy island was put in the middle of Livernois, which is small to begin with, it just made it more difficult for people to get to the Little Red Schoolhouse. So
I was a
it
patron
just went
there.
out of business. You too.
Yeah, and they also, one of my, when I first started playing guitar, Robert Lowe, who's a local guitarist, an excellent one as well, he actually played at the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Oh.
And me being a guitarist somewhat, I had to go there. So, yeah, we lost a lot of businesses, but I would like, you know, just to encourage everyone, because I always speak about Ujima, which is cooperative economics, to go along the Avenue of Fashion. I mean, there's artwork, there are stores with African attire. I bought my granddaughter and myself a dashiki. I'm going over there for a full suit the next time. I want to be ready, because I'm going to rep our culture. You know, I'll have on my Levi's every now and then, that kind of thing too. But when people see you, what you wear makes a statement. You know, so if you have sagging jeans, that makes a statement, but that's not the kind of statement we should be representing in our culture at all. But of course, there are, you know, extremes on both ends.
Right. Well, there was some news the past few days on slavery issue and those who held slaves, and to share some of that with you if you can.
Yeah, one of the things I like to say, and I hope that we can correct this, because again, it's part of the mass propaganda, is that we learn to say that we were in bondage or we were enslaved, as opposed to calling ourselves slaves, because that sets a certain mentality when we do that. So remember that we were enslaved or we were in bondage. But when they brought us here, they brought Africans here. They didn't bring slaves. So I just do that. You know, I'm conscious of that now. And to give you all a quick example, and I'll go back, is we'll refer to our children as kids, but then we know a kid is a small goat.
Really good.
And but I mean, it's been in the culture so long, it's kind of hard that you can't immediately get rid of it, but we have to over time do that with that. But we were talking about Harvard on the way to the station. We were talking about how Harvard, back in the 1800s, we had professors who were teaching at Harvard, you know, the elite Ivy League school in America, and they owned or they enslaved, some of the professors enslaved Africans as well. And we have to really dig. This is what feedback is all about. People would do better if they knew better, and so we bring information so that you might know. But there's a lot of things being uncovered now, like the fact that they've even given us Juneteenth. They give us, right? We're waiting for somebody to give us, but we have to be mindful of these institutions. And from what I heard, and I'm not sure, the specific details because they're still being worked out by Harvard, but supposedly they're going to give certain people certain tuition benefits and those kind of things. And I'm sure we probably helped build Harvard, just like the White House.
Absolutely. A year's worth of education there will be afforded to black students. 1 year of education. So that's helpful,
Right?
because it's very expensive to attend colleges, as I think most people already know.
And particularly Harvard. I remember when I was at U of D, let's just say I had a class in economics, and the books may have cost me, let's say maybe a couple $100 for the class. The same class at Harvard, it probably cost you $1,000 for an economics class. Part of it's the prestige of the school, because it's not like you're going to learn anymore. But, this is how they help out publishers, particularly, as we know, many professors, in order to stay at a school, have to publish books. This ups their status as a collegiate professor or instructor. So they're required, basically, to produce a book to show that they're just not showing up on the job every day with nothing on the side. So they're doing that. But I want to, since we're speaking of college, I want to just interject this for a moment. This past weekend, I'm not really into the NFL, but they held their NFL football draft. And this year, as opposed to the last few years, 4 black athletes from HBCUs were drafted by the NFL, by different NFL teams.
Really?
And this was which is amazing.
It is.
And the Detroit Lions happened to draft one of the HBCU athletes. So I just thought that was pretty good.
Oh, wow.
And we produce so many great athletes. When you look back
Right.
at Grambling in particular, which was one of the sports powerhouses. But it's interesting that in the past few years, no athlete came into the NFL from a HBCU.
Wow. Now, there were no recruiters who even attended those universities to scout out. But even here in Detroit, we used to have a satellite team, and a black talent was seen, discovered, recruited from here. The satellite team, I'm told, is not here anymore. Now, move on over to Northwestern High School. Ron Johnson, who played with the New York Jets, is from Northwestern High School, football player. Alex Johnson, his brother, played baseball. He was from Northwestern High School. Mayberry, I don't know Mayberry's first name, but Mayberry was drafted from Northwestern High School.
I think it was Stefan.
Stefan Mayberry, okay. I'm not clear on his first name, but he came from there. There are others who came from Northwestern High School, and I'm told there were some drafts who, I don't know what college, but they attended Cass and High School and also King High School. So there was a lot of activity right here in the city of Detroit. And then little by little, the base, what you could say, the scouting base was moved. The Pistons used to play right over there on Livernois and what is that, Stouffville, at St. Cecilia's every summer. And young teens would go over, and the Pistons players were there. They got a chance to do, what you call them, workshops? No, I guess don't call them workshops. But anyway, they would teach the young teens from the neighborhood how they should, I guess, hold the ball, dribble, whatever they, included in the training there. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I grew up around or within, let's say, walking distance of St. Cecilia, but when you mention high schools, I think about Pershing and Spencer Haywood, and think about, I was at Antoine Joubert, who played at Southwestern High School. He was like the player of the year for basketball. So there's a lot of talent that came out of Detroit.
Even Telford.
Yes.
Remember Telford?
John Telford.
Yeah. He came from Persia. He tells you about it all the time.
And so there's a lot of things, but we have to, again, look at how they, and it's always they, we had the Negro Leagues only because there was no admission into Major League Baseball. But once we got in there, and I think, we know this as a people, that once we got in there, we just run away with it because there's something about us, not only mentally but physically, that makes us, I'll use one of their terms, adroit. We just kind of latch on to something and we embellish it. So whatever, it's like some may dance, but we dance.
Right.
Some might sing, but we sang. That's just how it is. This is a personal editorial note on my side. I'm basing it on melanin, but then that's just me. But
that's wonderful.
But we have to take pride in what we have, and since we're mentioning schools and institutions of learning, it's important for you parents and grandparents, uncles and aunts, to be a part of the school system. You got a school board, you have a school superintendent, but make time. We'll make time to go to the casino or to a restaurant and to something else that is a good, outlet, but there's business that has to be taken care of before pleasure, and we have to make sure we do that. So we have to support the schools. We have to make sure that the curriculums address what we need. I think that's just critical for us to do and to know, and I'm just encouraging you all to do that because Theo does. They've adopted a school. Now, that's not a bad idea. Let me just say that to all of you. Find a school in your community and adopt it. Become a part of it. Even if it's once a week, just your presence will make a difference to the staff and everything. Make sure that they know who you are and what you're about.
Mm-hmm. And it really makes a difference. And if there's anyone who is available and interested in tutoring students to help them read better, to help them understand their reading. And, we hear this about the pipeline to prison and how the third grade students are being monitored. And if their scores in education are low, then it's like, that's the group. We need to have 1,000 beds filled in this prison. And that's the group, that third grade group. And we're going to monitor them from third grade on because they're coming with us. And we're looking forward to it, So for us to, as you were sharing, that's a wonderful thing, to adopt a school and to volunteer to help students read. Help them. When you show interest in them, then they begin to show more interest in themselves.
Yeah, I think there's a saying which says something like, children don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Yes.
And I would add that what Theo said a moment ago, I think, is really telling in that they monitor us. Consider that, a system that monitors you to see where you're going to place in society. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not monitoring others, they're monitoring us. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to monitor them as well. What are their practice? Because these are for-profit prisons. They are doing it for money. They're not doing it because they're trying to stave off crime or make people feel more comfortable in their environments. They're doing it for money. Mm-hmm. And the treatment that many of these people who are incarcerated only makes them worse because rehabilitation is not part of the plan anymore. It was initially, or at least it was better than it is now. Now it's just to house you, warehouse you, put you on the shelf, and then send you back out there with a couple of dollars in your pocket maybe and ask you to fend for yourself. You don't develop any skills, any talents, anything that could allow you to make an honest living and sustain yourself. And I would say to those of you who are parents and others, you may know that your children are selling marijuana or something. But what you should do is encourage your child, because it's not something you can do into your 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. You know, you have to have something stable. Encourage, because I've thought about this over the years, if you're getting money, you save that money. You can save that money. Go to school. I don't even go for the idea of selling it, but if that's what you're doing, you know, I can't stop you from doing that. But if you take the time to say, well, let me set this up. I'm going to a college. I'm going to get me an associate's degree in respiratory therapist or whatever it may be. Make something of yourself, because you can't do crime for your entire life. Because if you do, you're either going to end up dead or in jail.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. And you know, I was thinking also the enablers, and there was a judge in Pennsylvania who has been responsible for over 5,000 young people going to prison. And it is, you know, when you think about the judges and police officers and all who set our folks up, we have to be smarter than that. And now we're at the bottom of the hour, so we have to take a commercial break. And I want you to stay tuned. And while you're waiting, hey, get some tea, coffee, orange juice. Call somebody, tell them to tune in as well. And we'll be back momentarily.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
This is Theo Broden from Feedback. You can watch me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at WHPR TV Now app. Download our free app at WHPR TV Now.
Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
It's the These Nuts Show with your host, Butter and friends. Butter here, magician escape artist, practicing for my show tonight. Come on in, have a seat.
Everybody settle, Butter, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
In a few seconds, there gotta be enough to get out of this one. Twist, a little turn, ta-da! It's showtime! It's your old friend Butter here. I may be a nut, but I know to wear my mask. Please welcome my first guest tonight, fitness guru, Wally Walnut.
Wally Walnut here to tell you to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds so you will stay healthy and strong like me.
Almond Cruz here, sliding in with the news. Distance is what we must do to stay away from the chew and other germs in the air that might be trying to get on you. Social distancing is a wonderful way to see friends. As long as you're 6 feet apart, you win.
Hey there, friends. I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's me, Pumpkin Spice, your healthy girl. Remember, it's important to use your kind hearts and follow the signs to stay healthy and safe at all times.
Chica Chiminsky here to say, don't forget the little ones that need you to lead the way. That's how we remember to wash our hands, mask, and social distance today.
Morgan Raisin. Yes, it's me, here to sing about health and safety. We are all here to help get a message out to your grapevine, teaching healthy choices to stay safe all the time.
Don't let these guys drive you nuts. Put your mask on first. They'll let you be. And it keeps me safe from the
chew
that's trying to get on me.
Butter me up. She's right, you know. Thank you, Hallie Cranberry, for joining the show. Let's all be nuts about our health. social distancing, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and wear a mask. Practice what we learned to stay away from the germs. We're all in this together. Coming soon, the many adventures of these nuts in a theater near you.
I've always been a runner, but I've never run from anything, and neither has my city.
Do you want to be a Detroit police officer?
Sir, yes, sir! Ah! Amen!
It's something special to protect the people closest to you, the ones you've known all your life, your neighbors, your friends. I was born in this city, and I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. That's why I wear the shield.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am Thabiti Mpinga,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback. And follow us on Twitter. And know that this coming Saturday, there is a luncheon. There's no charge. And for anyone who needs transportation, I need you to call 313-971-7225. 313-971-7225. You know, we were, I should say first that we're going to be gathering at 2 o'clock, and the luncheon will start at 3, and it's at the Dedicated Senior Center, which is on West 7 Mile and Evergreen. If you need transportation, remember 313-971-7225. I was trying to say that slowly so people.
Absolutely. and let me add that if you didn't have pen and paper handy, as I suggested, because some of you may have just tuned in, grab your pen and paper and make it available, because Theo's going to repeat this information again.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now we were talking about some of the things that have been available to our young children, and some of the things that have gone away over time. Many things have happened over time, and you know, I appreciate you encouraging all of us to speak differently. There were human beings, men and women, who were stuffed in the belly of a ship on the continent of Africa edges, and then sailed to the United States, which wasn't united at that time, America, I guess I'm supposed to say, and they were put on a auction block and auctioned off. Someone said that was the beginning of Wall Street, and that we may be in the process of being sold now, just in an undercover manner. But these men and women from Africa were auctioned off, bought by others. I don't know that they were bought initially by anyone but white men. And they were taken to their farms, plantations, houses, and forced to be enslaved, forced to do manual labor. Now, over time, I want to add that many, many, many of the inventions that we benefit from were created, designed, and made by the Africans who were enslaved in this country. And that happened because if you think about it seriously, the person who is doing the work, whatever work it is, has an opportunity to think, well, if I just change this over here, to over here, it could be done a little easier. It could be done a little better. It could be done a little faster. So as a result, we have hundreds of thousands of inventions. Now, as time went on, some of our people were able to get patents on their inventions. Then there were many others that were stolen off by whites who wanted to get more profit out of our people.
And I would add this as well. When they brought Africans here, they brought talented Africans. They knew about agriculture, they were artisans, they knew about working with metals. So they didn't bring just someone who didn't have any skills and enslave them. They brought skilled people here, or kidnapped and brought skilled people here, and then those skills are what were used when we think of Benjamin Banneker and the design and the building of the White House, where all these rednecks and others now occupy, but it was a black man who was the designer and builder, helped to build that. But we don't, again, just like the stoplight, traffic light, we don't attribute some of the great inventions, as Theo was saying, thousands of them, we don't attribute them to Africans or Africans who, were brought here, but they brought people who were talented. And one thing I want to say too, because there's this little thing about critical race theory, which is not being taught in schools, it's only taught in law schools and only certain law schools, but Republicans use that as a rallying cry to make whites feel uncomfortable and say, look, we don't want it in the schools. It's never been in your schools. That's ignorance. And again, they own the media, the major media, so they can detail and put together the narrative.
And if they tell a lie long enough, people will believe it as the truth.
Now, one of the things about slavery, they said, well, there were slaves people who were enslaved all over the planet. But let me just give you this little tidbit of information. Here in North America, the USA, these were the only people who not only enslaved people, beat, mutilated, and killed them, but they're the only ones who set up breeding farms. They actually had farms where men and women were put together to breed children. This had nothing to do with love or anything. It's like we need more babies so we can have more people in the fields working. So your embarrassment does not bother us that your ancestors did that. The only thing that would help is that you saw the wrongs and wanted to make them right. That's what we want.
Well, on the breeding farms, for anybody that doesn't know, they didn't have separate bedrooms with beds, sheets, pillows, wine, flowers, none of that. They were out in the open, unclothed, also known as naked, having sex outside a breeding farm, and the whites sat around and watched. Maybe that was the beginning of porno tapes, porno movies, I don't know, some places where they go.
Well, they're decadent anyway, so I expect that. And the thing is, keep in mind, when we say breeding, we know people breed dogs. They want the AKC, so they'll keep the higher pedigrees together. We know that they breed animals because this is what they do on farms. But to put together a breeding farm for humans, just let that sink in for a minute.
That's what it was. All out in the open.
And I have to add this little footnote. Where we were, when we were in Africa, if you did something wrong, the village, because it was a village, it was a communal relationship. If you did something wrong, you were ostracized. There were no jails where you would go and spend 90 days or a year, something like that. Just the integrity of the village made you ashamed enough not to commit whatever it was you did before. So we didn't have a term for jails. That came into being from Western Europe, and then it transferred when they came here to the North American continent, jails and prisons. But they just didn't have them there because there was no need. The community was so cohesive and much of a unity because everybody worked together. So we have to watch out because we've adopted a lot of Western culture, which has been to our detriment.
And bad habits, I must say.
Heaven help us.
Yeah, yeah. You know, there were a number of torturous kinds of things that were done. We have heard that people were beaten right there in front of others to frighten them so that they would not turn or do something against the plantation owner. They even had a business. It just pains me to even think about it. A business, if you had a slave that was really, really rebellious, you force others to tie him up, throw him on a wagon, and they would take him into, I don't know, I guess into town. And it was a business for beating slaves. Then they would come out and drag him off the wagon into their business. That's what it was, a business of beating people. And they would have him at that business location for however long the agreement was between the plantation owner and the business owner. And they would beat the person until they determined he or she, for that matter, was beaten into submission and then brought back.
And I want to just add this, and then I'm going to make this smooth transition, so y'all just watch me on this. From not only North America, but in the Caribbean and even in the South America where enslaved Africans were brought, the French in particular, they had different ways of punishment, which was also very brutal and gruesome. A couple of which were, one, they would bury an enslaved African up to his neck in dirt or sand, and then they would put something sweet on him like honey or sorghum or something like that and allow the red ants to just eat away at the flesh, a horrible way to die. Another thing they did was the barrels that they used, because there was that triangular trade where rum was part of the triangular trade. The barrels that they used, they would put an enslaved African male or female in the barrel. They would put spikes, drive spikes into the barrel, roll it down a hill where it would go into water, and then they would drown. Not only would they be bleeding from the spikes, but it would roll it into water and they would drown. They did that with those, what we call, or when I came with, they call them croaker sacks. So the transition I'm making is this. If you're not registered to vote, you're going to be enslaved in a certain way as well. You're going to be enslaved by legislators who are making laws, as we know, at this very moment to deprive you of your right to vote. And not only that, but to take away some of the rights that you have. And we are in the midterm elections right now. Well, this is the season of them. Some have already taken place, but it'll be full steam ahead as we get closer to August and definitely November. So there's only, if we lose one seat in the Senate, then it shifts to the Republicans. And McConnell or Kevin McCarthy or whoever may end up being the Speaker of the, not the Speaker of the House, but the majority leader in the Senate, Biden's getting nothing through. So whatever if you don't do nothing now and they get in, you can forget it, because Biden will be just like President Barack Obama. He will not be able to get any legislation through. And if we lose 3 or 4 seats in the House of Representatives, it will be the same thing. So Joe Biden, he ain't the best in the world. That's what we have right now. But he will be like a lame duck president. Everything he brings up, if he can't do it by executive order, it's over with. So I would encourage you. A friend of mine, I had to tell her daughter just turned 18 years old. And, she's proud of her, certainly, for graduating. I'm like, make sure that girl is registered to vote, because her future is more at stake than ours. We have lived a majority of our life, but she's got just at 18 along with your teenagers, whether they nieces, nephews, or children. They're about to inherit this, and if we don't give them something to work with, they're going to be starting, the race will start 5 minutes before they're allowed to get into the race. We can't afford that.
And they may find themselves back on a modern plantation. You know, it's a numbers game. Our people are good at numbers, been playing the numbers for decades. And they need to know that the more of our folks who get out and vote, the better it is for us. So we need to come up with ways to motivate people to vote. Motivate people to vote. And if you think that you won't get up, you don't feel like getting up, you don't feel like going to the voting precinct and spending about 15, 20 minutes out of a 24-hour day, then call for a form to request an absentee ballot. And you don't have to leave your house. Don't have to get out of your easy chair. You don't even have to get out of your bed, except to get the mail, maybe, you know. But just call the Election Commission, 876-0190. It's a 313 number, 876-0190. Tell them, hey, I want a request form. Some people call them applications. A request form, application, whatever you call it. Call that number and tell them to send you a form so that you can get an absentee ballot. Absentee ballot. And you can vote. Find out who's campaigning. Who are they? Talk to people. You know, we were coming up, they say you don't talk about religion. And you don't talk about politics. And as a young child, I kept wondering, why don't we talk about politics? Why don't we talk about religion? Why can't we talk about politics or religion? There was always somebody ringing the doorbell on Saturday with that paper they give out.
Right.
What's it called? Watchtower or something?
Yeah, Watchtower.
I said, they're talking about religion?
Yes.
Huh. Why can't I? Well, as I grew into adulthood, you know, I talk about politics and I'll talk about religion. And now, this year, I have added two things. That is civics and curb appeal. You know, last night when I did the program on the radio, 9:10 a.m., 11 p.m. to 1 o'clock for all the night owls and the wannabe night owls. There's one we called in. We were talking about supporting black-owned businesses. And this black-owned gas station on Outer Drive in 7 Mile was mentioned. And she says, well, I don't want to go in any gas station that has grass that needs to be cut outside and all of that. And I kept thinking to myself, that's the only reason you don't want to patronize a gas station? You're not putting gas in your tank only to support the black-owned gas station. It's to support the community. As they build, they can hire others from the community. You're not going to put grass in your tank, you know? Jeez.
Looking for an excuse. And I have to say, I've done business with them. I've even had them tow some cars, a couple of cars I had that were not going to ever be repaired. So I communicated with them. There was a man who owns a black tire shop on 7 Mile further down. He recommended them. So I'm just conscious of how I spend my money. And I can't always spend it with my people, but when I can, they're first on the list. Now, one of the things I want to say about politics as well, I remember, well, two things. First, as Theo said, people say don't discuss religion and politics. But now the thing is this, some people say I don't do politics. Well, you may not do politics, but politics will do you.
And do you in.
Yes. Absolutely.
I love it.
Now, I remember an episode from Sanford and Son. It was interesting. Fred Sanford's son, Fred Sanford's son, Lamont, was being put in a position to become a state assemblyman in California. And Lamont said to his father, he says, Dad, I don't know nothing about being a politician. And Fred said, look, he said, and then Lamont said, I'm not qualified. And then Fred responded, qualified? What do you mean qualified? We talking about politics. We not talking about brain surgery. And my point in all of that is that many of the people who run for these offices are not qualified. They don't have a track record of working in the community, which Barack Obama did have. He worked in the community before he got into the state Senate, and then went on to national Senate, and then later on president, as we know. But he had a track record of working. Most of the people we know are just some guy who may be laid off from Ford or something. He said, well, look, I guess I'll just try to be a politician. So we got a lot of people who are not qualified who are holding a position. Look at 45. He had no knowledge of politics at all. Oh, he's a businessman. Well, look, a business hires and fires. A business does not care about its employees. And obviously he didn't care about the constituency. He just thought about the prestige because the money he already had. So I'm just saying all that to say this, sum it up and say that many of the people who are running, you can look at some of your city council people, they didn't have a background in politics. Maybe not. I have a degree in politics, but political science was not an interest of mine to run. But you have to screen everybody that who is about to hold a position, because again, you may not do politics, but politics will do you in.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I look for in an individual who is campaigning for a particular office, and that's sincerity. If you are sincere about what you want to do for your community, your district, your people, it comes through. It does. Because you will then find out that, they have worked on the summer cleanup in the area, or they've gone to the school to read to the children, or in the church they have solicited young people to also help tutor the younger ones to read. Reading is so desperately important. It is just desperate. And not that you just learn to read the words, but that you learn to understand the words, the content of what you're reading. And the younger you start them off, the better. And one thing that just galls me like no other is to have a child, name the child after a parent, grandparent, or whomever, and then turn around and call her, hey, Pookie, come here, Pookie, come on, little man. Yeah, we gonna go good, There was a fine example of that a few years ago. This little child, I don't know, he must have been approximately 3 years old, was able to figure out how to open the door and go out. Now, there's the wintertime. And this little child was not clothed properly, but he was just walking down the street in the neighborhood. And there were some people who saw this little kid, and they looked around, nobody with the child. Child was not clothed properly for winter, and so they called the police. And the police came and scooped up the child, wrapped him in a blanket, took him to the police station. And they were asking him his name and who, his mother's name, father's, whoever. His name, what is your name? Pookie? And they said, well, they gave him, I don't know, some milk or ice cream or something. And the little child only knew that he had been called Pookie. So they called the television stations and asked them to please send out a cameraman or whatever they could arrange. They had to put the little child on television to ask, is there anyone who recognizes this child? Would you please call the precinct? Gave out the precinct number. He says his name is Pookie. And that's all. The child didn't know his name. The least you could do is teach your child his real name. As the child gets a little older, you try and get them to know their phone number, their mother's name, or where they live, or something that can be connected, not only in case the child wanders off, but in case the child is kidnapped and gets away somewhere. There's a lot of that going on these days. We got sex trafficking. We got people being kidnapped for body parts, believe it or not.
And let me just add my own little bit to this. It's important that, as Theo said, children are made aware of who they are. I never let my children be called any little nicknames because, unfortunately, within our community, there's a segment of our community, I want to make that clear, not all of us, but a segment of our community, they think it's cute to have these little names and everything. And they will, encourage others to, because they think it's cute. Now, a point that Theo made earlier about reading, I have been really hard on this for like 15, 20 years in my own life, in that if you're not able to master the language, even at a young age, which when Theo spoke about pipeline to prison, part of it is when a child is in the class, if they're not able to read and comprehend and really learn and discern what is being said, then they lose interest in school. And when you go to another class, so we start out in English, which is where we're supposed to develop our language or linguistic skills. And then when you go to social studies, history, civics, math, if your vocabulary is tight, when you go to those other classes, it won't be hard to read about Crispus Attucks or something like that because you know how to read. And then when you read, it's something about it that really stimulates you to want to know more. But if you feel like you're not doing good at it, just like if I'm Shaquille O'Neal, if I keep shooting them free throws and they don't seem to be going in, I'm a bad free throw shooter, I'm going to be discouraged from doing it. We cannot allow our children at a young age to be discouraged because they can't read. And then and I've known many people who said, well, I don't have my glasses. Could you read this for me? That's because they can't read at all anyway. And they're embarrassed by that fact. Again, we're at the top of the hour here.
Oh, goodness. Time for station identification right here at WHPR, WHBS. And you're tuned in to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. We want you to stay tuned, and we will be back momentarily.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
Hi, this is Thabiti Mpinda from the Feedback Program. You can watch me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on WHPR TV Now app. Download our free app at WHPR TV Now.
Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
It's the These Nuts Show with your host, Butter and friends. Butter here, magician escape artist, practicing for my show tonight. Come on in, have a seat.
Everybody settle. Butter, you're on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
In a few seconds, you gotta be enough to get out of this one. Twist a little turn, ta-da! It's showtime. It's your old friend Butter here. I may be a nut, but I know to wear my mask. Please welcome our first guest tonight, fitness guru, Wally Wallman.
Wally Woodland here to tell you to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds so you will stay healthy and strong like me.
Almond Cruz here, sliding in with the news. Distance is what we must do to stay away from the chew and other germs in the air that might be trying to get on you. Social distancing is a wonderful way to see friends. As long as you're 6 feet apart, you win.
Hey there, friends. I wouldn't miss this for the world. It's me, Pumpkin Spice, your healthy girl. Remember, it's important to use your kind hearts and follow the signs to stay healthy and safe at all times.
Chica Chiminsky here to say, don't forget the little ones that need you to lead the way. That's how we remember to wash our hands, mask, and social distance today.
Morgan Raisin. Yes, it's me, here to sing about health and safety. We are all here to help get a message out to your grapevine, teaching healthy choices to stay safe all the time.
Don't let these guys drive you nuts. Put your mask on first. They'll let you be. And it keeps me safe from the...
Chew!
That's trying to get on me.
Butter me up. She's right, you know. Thank you, Hallie Cranberry, for joining the show. Let's all be nuts about our health. Social distancing, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and wear a mask. Practice what we learned to stay away from the germs. We're all in this together. Coming soon, the many adventures of these nuts in a theater near you.
WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
FM 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park.
WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am the BD Impinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for feedback.
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback.
With you. And you know, you have an opportunity to go to Wayne County Community College, you know, and we talk about learning the computer all the time. And we even taught free classes at one time in 1996. You know about that commercial, Windows 95. Windows 95, Windows 95, hey. Well, Wayne County Community College teaches 3 different classes all about computers. One is an introduction to computers. Another class is navigating the internet. Oh, Lord, when we started the BD, you could probably sit down in 2 hours and see what was on the internet, on the computer, on Windows 95. Today, you couldn't sit down in 200 years and learn everything that's on the computer. But at Wayne County Community College, you can sign up for any of those 3 classes. The 3rd class takes you to a more advanced computer navigation. In the meantime, for anyone who is 60 years of age or older, of course, you can take classes free. Did you know that? At Wayne County Community College, free classes for those who are 60 years of age and older. You know?
And I've attended classes at 4 of the 5, definitely the 3 that are in the city of Detroit, but also one that's out in Belleville. I haven't made the Taylor one yet, but that's only because the other classes I wanted, you know, they're spread out, and you just can't beat it. You're in a collegiate atmosphere with other people who are studying, you know, and it brings back a certain youthfulness too as well, because, you know, we can sometimes look back and reflect on our days in elementary, middle school, and high school, but to be in a setting where other students are learning, and learning is such a beautiful thing, and it's part of our culture from way back on the motherland. When you look at Timbuktu, Songhai, Janae, and some of the other higher institutions of learning. Matter of fact, we were the originators of all that to begin with.
And universities, absolutely.
And we fell off. So Wayne County Community College is available. And for you seniors, they have online classes, and they have well over 100 programs that you can get into. I mean, firefighting, truck driving. There's probably nothing you can name under the sun you can't find there.
That they don't have, right. The truck driving courses being taught at the Eastern Campus, which is I-94 in Connor, right across from the city airport, now called the Coleman Young Municipal International Airport. I think I added a word, but anyway, it's across from that, I-94 in Connor. That's where they teach the truck driving. The larger campus is on the west side, Outer Drive and Southfield Freeway. And then the downtown campus is on 4th Street, 1001 4th Street, right off of the Lodge Freeway. And that's something to look into. You know, people need to remain active. And, you know, the more active you are, the more you extend your life, the more you extend your good health, you know. I want to mention that Saturday, the 7th of May, we're having our meeting at the Dedicated Senior Center. It's on the corner of Evergreen and the West 7 Mile Road. If you need transportation, just call 313-971-7225. 971-7225. Hope you had your pen and paper handy, and I hope you will join us. Google Hood Research, call us anytime, 248-234-2371. And you know, the meeting, I just have this burning issue to talk about white on white crime. Who's the caller? Okay. Hello.
Hello, caller. You
Hello.
on? Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Detroit.
Okay.
And I listen to you all on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
And my name is Yvonne.
Thank you for calling.
Did I just hear you all say something about Wayne County Community College? Were you all talking about that?
Yes, we were. If you are 60, anybody who's 60 years of age or older can take free classes at Wayne County Community College.
Well, still, listen, I have some things that's going on at Wayne County Community, and I just feel like maybe it's not out there for people to know about it or talking about it. But I have ran into a student that they things that they are supposed to cover to help the students. When they go to get the help part, the tutors and things, it's not there. It's like they're giving a runaround. They tell them to go on the computer, pull up some kind of information, and it's supposed to tutor them for whatever they, the subject that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And when they go to other sources there to get help and information, there's no information. They tell them to drop the class and take it over again. Who want to drop a class unless you have to?
Well,
So I was telling this person, I say, well, you and some of this, because they was having problems. There've been 2 instructors over there at different times that have been a problem with. And they say they go to the counselors or whoever the next choice is supposed to go to, but it's of no help. So I told them they should put it in writing and get it to Dr. Curtis, because if they don't get a hold of this, it's just going to, it's not going to help Wayne County Community. And I think it's a very good school. It has brought out good students that have really been good performers and went on to higher learning. And Phil, I remember when Wayne County one time, this was some years back, was having a lot of problems. So now since Dr. Curtis been there, it really has been an uplift, and a lot of good has come out of him being there.
Yes.
So I was telling the person, I said, well, you and some of the students in the class, y'all put this in writing and see if you can get it to Dr. Curtis, because sometimes things are going because people, the higher sources don't know.
And
That's
true.
I don't want to see the school, go down because of bad instructors.
Right, exactly.
Or people that's working over there don't have the information where they can help the students. So I'm going to hang up and just listen to some of the things you and
Yvonne,
the young man there with you.
Right. There's a representative
Thank you.
there. You're welcome. There's a representative there by the name of Daoud Muhammad, who may be able to give you some assistance as well. Daoud Muhammad. He's with the administration. You know, the student body is somewhere around 20,000. Oh, yeah, they've done really well. And the sports medicine building, which is on 4th Street, was paid for in cash. No mortgage, cash. That shows the fiscal responsibility of Dr. Curtis Ivory as well. And they even have a basketball team there. I wasn't aware they had a basketball team. I'm like, oh, really? Sports at WC3. All right. But anyway, I want to let people know that we've had positive relationships with WC3. We had Don Barden, for those of you who remember Don Barden, to come and do a workshop for Hood Research at Wayne County Community College. They welcomed him, and we were thrilled.
I was a part of that. It was at the Northwest Campus
Yes.
before it moved to when it was on Greenfield and Joy Road area. And I want to add, too, for you, sister, that one of the things, and we know this happens within any large corporation or administrative system, that you will have a few people who don't really give the support that's needed. But as Theo said, you can contact Dawood Muhammad, and that certainly will get you somewhere, because all of my experiences there have been good. But again, we know, like, there's bad cops, there's bad students. There are people within certain jobs that sort of need that little push or nudge to make them more responsible to the people that they're supposed to be responsible to. So I would encourage, don't let that student that you, or students that you know, be discouraged. Let them know that there are, you follow the chain of command, I guess, as they say. I've had things in my own workplace where I spoke to my immediate supervisor, and over again, he kept putting me off. I'm retired now, but I'm just using this as an example. He put me off for months, as a matter of fact. I went to his superior and let the superior know, look, I need a change in schedule because I'm in school. And then she didn't like him anyway. I guess she knew more about him than I did. Yeah. She went on ahead and did that. And then he came to me and said, well, why didn't you? I said, look, for 3 months, I tried to let you know that I had certain needs, and you kept giving me the run around and the brush off. So I took it to the next level. So I would encourage anyone that same way. If you have somebody who's not attending to your needs, and you do have those needs, you're trying to accomplish something, you go to someone higher. So Dawood Muhammad will be the first person that student or any student goes to, because since Dr. Curtis Ivory, L. Ivory, has been there, the school has just catapulted itself into the stratosphere in terms of what it offers, the programs. And as Theo said, the sports medicine facility was paid for cash. Yeah. That's what you call competence in administration, and that's what we want. And we have it right here in our city, so you can't go wrong with that. You can, if you have to use Uber or the public transportation or drive yourself, it's available to you.
I wish he had been able to take on superintendent of Detroit Public Schools, but he already has a lot with Wayne County Community College. I understand that, but it would have been wonderful. Now I want to talk about white on white crime. When a white cop shoots a young black man in the back of the head, people jump up and down and they scream and they holler, they protest, and this is not right, and it was murder, et cetera, et cetera. Then they say, well, what about the black-on-black crime in the community? A whole lot more black-on-black folk get killed and blah, 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 blah. There is no way in hell or on God's green earth that is the largest number. I want to tell you about white-on-white crime. The Germans wanted to eradicate the Polish. They just want to get rid of everybody who said they were Polish. The Germans want to do that. Then Hitler said one day, well, the best man is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed. What? Hitler did not have blonde hair nor blue eyes. How crazy is that? And they went on exterminating Jews. However, that number was not just 5 million. There were actually 18 million people who were murdered by the Germans. The reason you hear the number 5 million is because the Jews are telling their own story. They are telling their own story as we need to tell our own story. Our story. Then within that 18 million, there were black folk who were murdered by the Germans. There were disabled people who were murdered by the Germans. So there's a lot more to that story. The Holocaust was not just something that happened to the Jews. They don't want you to use that term unless you're only talking about them. And that's because they're dedicated to telling their own story. And they have museums around the country that shows you examples of what happened to them. Now, the black community does have a museum in southern Alabama. Was it Montgomery?
Yes.
Where they talk about the lynchings and how many there were and other aspects of enslaved people from the continent of Africa. But now, Afghanistan went on for 20 years. Wasn't that white on white crime? And today, Putin in Russia decided those people over there in Ukraine are not efficient. They're not taking care of Ukraine. I want it. So guess what? That's white on white crime. So whenever you hear somebody talking about black on black crime, just, dismiss the stupidity. They're trying to get you not to pay attention to the white on white crime that is being committed. White on white crime. Had you thought about that?
Oh, many times, and I have to say that one of the things, and I'll give a statistic in a moment, but one of the things is crimes, whether it's Hispanic, Caucasian, African American, and any other ethnic groups, we tend to live within our groups. And so the crime that's committed is committed within your group because those are the people that you have the most contact with. And in North America, USA, over 83%, it may be a little higher, but I'll say 83% of white on white crime is committed one white person against another white person. Mm-hmm. But of course, we have to always understand who is writing the story or creating the narrative. So mm-hmm. they will do something that denigrates or character assassination of not only individuals but of a racial group. And that's what's happening when they say black on black. And again, it still says earlier in another part of our discussion, if they say it long enough, you'll believe it. Mm-hmm. And you begin to, like a parrot, you'll just echo the same thing that you heard. You don't have any knowledge of the foundation or knowledge of it. You just heard it, so you say it, and it spreads. And we have to be mindful of that. And one thing you said, Theo, that I guess, they don't have a lock. There's no lock on the word, but they speak about Jewish Holocaust. Mm-hmm. Well, I speak about the African Holocaust, where during the transatlantic slave period, over 100 million Africans died. Mm. Many of them are at the bottom of the ocean. Not only did some just jump to freedom, jump to escape. They knew not what they were coming into, but just the savagery on the boat, lying next to each other like sardines in a can. And then there were Africans, because of how they were housed on the boat, developed diseases because the trips may have taken anywhere from 30, 60 to maybe even as long as 90 days to get from there. And I remember hearing something that said something to the effect that, maybe they started out, let's just say, with 300 enslaved Africans. When they got to the North American shore, there may have been only 150, and they threw those bodies over the side of the ship because they were dead. But you can just think about laying in your own feces. They might have let you out just like if you're in solitary confinement in prison, they might let you come up on deck a few at a time just to move around. But then you had to go back and be shackled, and you're right next, shoulder to shoulder. There's no room to move at all. So when you think, and then sharks also followed those boats because they knew that there was food. Unfortunately, the ones who either jumped just to escape bondage, or those who died in the Middle Passage, the sharks would follow those slave boats to North America because that's food. So let's keep in mind there was an African Holocaust too, not just only a Jewish Holocaust. There was an African Holocaust, and we lost over 100 million people in the course of that, and we should never forget that. I salute the Jewish community. They make sure you never forget their story. Let's make sure they never forget our story.
Right. Never again. Never forget. Never again. And we have to motivate as many as we can to participate in this political process in this country. We have to vote. Your power is in the vote. Your power is in your hands to vote. Your power needs to be used. And it's only twice in the year, the primary and then the general election. How long can that take? And even if you call the election commission to get an absentee ballot, how long can that take?
And I like what Theo said. She said this earlier, and then I'm going to add to what she just said. She said it might take you 15 minutes to a half hour. That's if you happen to go to your polling place. And you're only doing it once or twice a year, the primary and the general election. If you got over 365 days in a year, and you can't sack, and I think there's over 8,000, if I remember correctly, 8,760 some odd hours in a year. If you can't take, out of 8,760 hours, if you can't take 1 hour for your own benefit,
yes,
we don't want to be, Theo and I don't want to be in a conversation with you when you say, well, yeah, the street lights or the street floods. And I will say, well, did you vote and try to get somebody in to help? And one thing you said, Theo, I think is very important. You say you look at the sincerity of a person. Are they genuine? Because the people who are genuine are already out there doing work.
Right.
They didn't wait for an election to say, I'm going to put my hat in the ring. They were out there on the front lines from day one saying, I'm going to make sure. And I give salutes to certain people like Agnes Hiscock and many, Monica Lewis-Patrick,
Cecily McClellan.
These are frontline people. They're not out there for fame, fortune, or anything. They're out there. I'm trying to think of the sister for the schools, too. Her name's
Helen Moore.
Helen Moore. These are frontline people. They're not looking for anything but to improve their community.
Yeah,
now, what are you want to do?
Right. And Victor Gibson is out there, too. He was tutoring children all while the Dexter Elmhurst Center was open as well.
So now do like Theo and adopt a school. In your community, adopt a school.
Yeah, and it's fun, too. And the principal at the school, she is so excited because we come, and she's doing a wonderful job as well, But I just want to let you all know, Google Hood Research. If you can't remember, all of the numbers and didn't have time to write them down, Google Hood Research. HOODRESEARCH. That's HOODRESEARCH. The research.
Yeah. Now we're getting down to it. We got about 4 minutes now.
Oh my goodness!
But what I want to do is have you, Theo, mention again the luncheon for one, and then we'll have a few other closing remarks. But I want to make sure those who may have tuned in just at this last moment to get this information, the telephone number for transportation, the time, and everything. So Theo, if you will share with us.
Okay, this coming Saturday, which is May the 7th, the first Saturday in this month of May, Hood Research is hosting a luncheon at the dedicated Senior Center, which is on West 7 Mile and Evergreen, 20001 West 7 Mile. That's on the southwest corner of 7 Mile and Evergreen. And we're going to be gathering at 2. Lunch will be at 3 o'clock. There is no cost for the luncheon. And I hope, Yvonne, you will join us this coming Saturday. Thank you for calling in with the information and questions. And the Dedicated Senior Center is for our benefit in our community. Fast Eddie is invited to be there. And for those of you who remember him, know him, knew him, we'll have an opportunity for a reunion with him this coming Saturday. So I hope you'll be gathering with us at 2 so we can break bread at 3 and enjoy each other's company. There were so many people who were having cabin fever. You know, somebody says, oh, my God, now that things are getting a little better. Can we go somewhere? Yes, we can go somewhere this Saturday, May the 7th, with us. Call Hood Research. Let me know you're coming. And when you call for transportation at 313-971-7225, you can RSVP right there, too.
And I want to add that, you know, this is an excellent time for fellowship. When we speak about village, this is part of what the village does. There was a time on the motherland where we had the griot or the storytellers, and everybody would gather. And most of our tradition is oral to begin with, but it was passed along from generation to generation. So this is another opportunity for us to reconnect with each other first, and then to reconnect on a DNA level with our ancestral roots, because this is how we are. We know even now, sometimes, Theo, I'll be riding just along, this over the years in the community, I will see older brothers or sisters, and they're sitting out and they're by a tree or something like that, and they're gathering. This is what we do as a people. We should never be ashamed of our culture or ourselves. So I just encourage you all to join us Saturday and be a part of this. You know, you have a meal, so that'll satisfy you. And we need to improve our mental and physical health and being with each other, definitely, because some of us may be, as Theo said, the cabin fever, maybe a little bit depressed or something like that, despondent. Being in a community of like-minded people, and, you know, you will find companionship and comradeship with each other. So let's all, as many of you can, and not only that, we're telling you to tell people that you know as well to be a part of it. Not only you, the listener, but bring somebody with you.
Absolutely. And as I say at the end of our programs, it's not necessary for you to know everything. What is necessary is for you to know how to find what you need when you need it. We at Hood Research seek out as much information as we can, encourage you to share, because with that, it helps us all make better, informed decisions. Tune again right here next week, 9 a.m., to Feedback, a positive image production by Hood Research. Peace.
And as I always say, if you want to be nothing, do nothing. But the only problem with doing nothing is you never know when you finish. And the fact is, we can't afford to do nothing.
Absolutely. Till next week. Peace.
Feedback. 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 Hi, this is Theo Broughton,
And I am the BD Pinda,
inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback,
a positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
and take us along with you. Feedback. Feedback. Feedback.